I'm Helen Paris, and this is our VFC fourth Zoom call. And we really would like to thank you all for taking a few minutes of this afternoon to hop on and listen to what our candidates have to say. VFC came into existence approximately 10 months ago as a group of people that were concerned about a few things going on in the villages. I know in my case, it had a lot to do with safety. And I think my husband might be getting into that later, but I think everyone here in the villages has some hot buttons of concerns. And what we've tried to do is, as a bunch of residents, just try to gather up some of those concerns and try to be vocal. I know we've been vocal because people are giving us feedback about that. And so what we wanted to do today, we've come a long way from just creating a website that I hope you've gone on to look at. But more than that, we said that we couldn't just complain, that we had to be a part of the solution. And so some of our friends at VFC have made a commitment to do the next step, which was to not just be vocal, but to put their hand out and say, I'm willing to be a part of the solution, because it's not okay just to complain. You have to have a process. So with that, we have created these two Zoom meetings today, and we have four candidates, two ABOD and two CBOD candidates with us. And what the ABOD on my camera, their ABOD is sitting right in the middle, which is George Paris and Linda McChesney. And our two CBOD candidates are Yamaki and Manji Patel. We're going to repeat this whole process on Thursday because we felt, one, more than an hour would be too long to get everybody to listen. But our goal today is very simple: to let you get to know these people as individuals, and hopefully you're going to like them, because the number one responsibility of a good voter is to feel, do you feel comfortable giving your vote to these people? So with that, what we are going to set up with is a little opening remarks from the four candidates today. And we're going to start off with George Paris, and rather than giving an opening remark, because I believe you've already done that like 6 times in every possible way, I thought it would be a lot more fun for each candidate to give some unique fact about them and how that's affected your life. Just an old-fashioned icebreaker. And so I probably could answer this for George, but I think I'm going to let him start it off by, George, give some unique fact about you and how that's affected your life. Okay, George Paris. Whoop, hang on. George, you need to unmute.
Hi, I'm George Paris. If you know me at all, you know I love to play golf. People who drive down the block here or walk around think I'm crazy because I'm out chipping all the time. But what makes me unique is I hit the ball right-handed and I putt left-handed. Not too many golfers do that. Why that is probably good for me is that it shows the versatility of myself. I can go and think of different ideas. Thank you.
Great. And of course, somebody's probably calling our house trying to Zoom into the call right now. And so I'm just going to ignore that and hope they find another way. Great. So George is totally backwards when it comes, and I'll just share that not only does he reverse putt, but now on top of that, he's reversed his hand. So I've tried to explain to him that he actually is putting right-handed, but he doesn't get that. So let's go with Linda. Linda, something unique about yourself.
Hi, my name is Linda McChesney. Probably the most unique, although I have many, is that my husband and I did foster care for over 15 years to high-risk teens and kids 10 and above. During that time, I had 4 kids of my own at home. So I've learned definitely patience, how to interact with many different people to make solutions and to have the best outcome that's possible. And it definitely made me a much wiser woman in my life. Thank you.
Wow, that's a great story. Okay, Manji, can you give us something unique about you and how that's affected your life? Up, unmute, unmute. Sorry.
Well, for folks who have read my bio, I lived and worked in the United Kingdom. And one of the places I actually lived in, it was Welwyn Garden City. It is the home of one of the top European golfers, who has won more majors from the men's side than any other European golfer. And at that time, I didn't even know what a golf course looked like. Years later, after having picked up golf in the late 90s, and I just saw him on the TV and everything, I didn't even know that I had kind of probably bumped into him into that golf course years ago. So that's something unique. And I love golf. I've introduced golf to a lot of people in my life. I don't play good golf. I love fun golf and bad golf. It's all fun.
Great. And Del, before you talk, I just want to remind you to unmute yourself. Can you share something unique about yourself, please?
I guess one of the things in my bio is that I'm from Hawaii. But one of the unique things is I'm one of the rare individuals who have actually left Hawaii and pretty much moved away permanently. Most people who come from Hawaii stay in Hawaii, and it's a very tight local community that comes from Hawaii, and it's I found that here in Northern California. So I live here now with my wife and my son, and I'm pretty happy. And we go back and visit home, which is sort of like a vacation. I
bet it is for all of us. Hey, folks, as we get rolling here, I would encourage you to use that chat feature at the bottom of the screen. And if you have a comment or a question that you would like to ask, both Liz and I will be monitoring that throughout the hour. Okay, so our first question is going to George Paris. And again, you're going to remember to unmute. How do you feel you could change the status quo as a director? George?
Yes, my goal is to change the mindset here, especially the board and management. Villagers' concerns must come first, not the boards or the management. Communication has to improve. Differing opinions need to be heard. If you have differing opinion, you're usually put aside. For instance, on a board meeting, you're given 2 minutes. If it's not opinion they really want to hear, they say thank you and they put it aside. Okay, if you want to put a different opinion on the newspaper, like on Pulse, you're censored. That is not allowed. The only option is next door. That's not okay. There should be more ways to do this. We seem to forget that the villagers are the owners. A small group here seems to be involved in most of the committees and the actions here. Last summer, Helen and I and some friends met with one of the board directors, and we discussed our concerns. We were told, if you didn't like it, run for the board. Well, here I am, I'm running. Being part of VFC, I've been criticized and put down, but that's okay. I know the villagers need to be heard. I will do everything I can to make that happen. Thank you.
Great. Okay, and then Linda is our second ABOD nominee or candidate for the director spot. And Linda, your question is, how do you feel about the current ABOD's recent actions versus the last 3 years?
Thank you, Helen. That's a really good question. I think one of the things in talking to people that I have noticed is that lately, especially with elections rising, they've came up with, the current ABOD has came up with a lot of solutions and committees that need to be formed. It would have been nice if these had been formed earlier so that we could have gotten a lot of this taken care of. I believe that if George and I are elected, we are team players and we're able to work with the other people on that board. But I believe fresh ideas that we have can make a difference. And hopefully we can speak out for a lot of us that have not had a say and see what we can do to make a difference. You know, we all want to live here and we all want to be able to stay here till we can't live here anymore. God forbid something happens to us. So I think that that's important, and where I don't have the answers to all the questions or all the right ways, George and I definitely will make sure that we look into it. We do our homework, as I did with foster care, and we find the best solution, and we communicate with you regularly so that you're all involved in it. Thank you.
Great. Manji, we're coming to you, so make sure you're unmuted. Manji, can you speak to the reopening of amenities as it relates to COVID currently in the villages?
That is actually quite challenging with all the different dynamics going on. So I think we have to also kind of look at what's available. We have to follow the county regulations as much as possible. However, some of the amenities, I think, got a lot more priority early on before the others were allowed to open. But going forward, I think we need to keep a balance. And if we are told, as we are told, that we need to have monitors, paid monitors on most of the amenities, we can accept that. However, there's nothing wrong with having volunteers also working under the paid monitor to help expansion of opening the amenities. Just think about what we have done on a national basis currently. Our vaccination program is relying on a lot of volunteers to help the team. So we can pay monitors, but have volunteers working under the county guidelines. And I think that's how we should approach opening the amenities.
Okay. And Del, ending out the first round, what is your views on the current financial management in the villages?
Well, I believe when it comes to financial management, the current stance is a pretty conservative one, which is really a good thing. However, I think one of the things, or there are many things we can do to improve our overall finances. And probably the biggest item that I will be pushing, continuing to push, is to increase input from the residents. I think our residents provide many good ideas. And I think one of the issues currently that we're faced with is we rely on our staff and management to solve the problems, which is fine, except I think by opening things up and having more committees and getting more input from our residents who have a wealth of knowledge, we'll be able to gather better solutions, more alternatives, and probably achieve the best solution at a better cost, and thereby manage our expenses a lot better, as well as potentially increase our revenue. So those are my thoughts. Thanks.
Well, folks, before you get any further, I would be remiss if I didn't show you something. I think you all know what this is. This was all in our tubes this week, and this is our ballot. There are 3 colored ballots. A couple of you that are on today are single-family homeowners, and so you would have a different color ballot than what George and I have. We have the blue ballot for ABOD. We have the brown ballot, or beige, for CBOD, and then the homeowners is a green ballot. Each of these have to be marked. There's protocol, there's directions in here that you mark it, you put the secret inside of this, and then you put them all together and you take them down to building A, and there is a mailbox outside there. Don't hesitate to vote. It's 1 vote per household. So if you need to decide between who's going to cast which vote, open a glass of wine and decide, or flip the coin. But with that, I sure hope you have your ballots out today and you're starting to listen. The next question is, and if you want to go in a slightly different direction, candidates, with these questions, feel free to do so. George, how would you respond to the critics of VFC today? And what is the truth that you would like to share with everyone?
Okay, there's a lot of rumors going on right now. And I'm sure you probably all receive statement by one of the board directors. One, just totally absurd, is VSC is going to get rid of the 9-hole course, putting up condos. If you know me, there's no way I would be associated with something like that. My wife, Helen, and I came here because of everything you can do here. Golf, bocce, all the clubs, activities, events. We love to be active. We're not going to take things away or be part of something that would take it away. My wife and I became core members of VSC late last summer. I think we figured it about 10 months ago. Been a tough 10 months. But we had 3 premises. One, the villages needs better financial management. 2, the second one is to improve communications. And 3rd is handle safety concerns better. They're still what VSC stands behind. Thank you.
Great. Linda, what would you cut if you were an ABOD director, or would you cut anything?
Thank you, Helen. A lot of the rumors have been going around that said we would cut amenities. Like George just said, I moved here for those. I would not cut anything. If anything, hopefully down the line, we can add more things to this village to entice people and for us to have more to do. I think in order to stabilize everything, what we need to look into as the cost that is over and above. As if you read my bio, it's like budgeting a household. You know, if our water bill is too high, we find out a way to reduce. We look at how we can reduce it. Our cable, our phone, all that is stuff that we can look at to see insurance, you know, to see if we can do some cut costing so that it can be given to us or at least stabilize. Definitely, we're not going to reduce our, you know, HOAs by hundreds of dollars. That's not going to happen, but stabilizing it and being able to enjoy everything that we have here and do more is definitely our goal. And unfortunately, it's too bad that people have started rumors that aren't true, but just know that we are here to, how would you say? We are here to make this a better place to live and to try and do our best. We may not have all the right answers, and there may be some things that we honestly cannot change, but at least we can look into it and have a better idea and let everybody here know if something can't be done and the reason for it. Thank you.
Great. Manji, and good, she's coming off. What do you see the role of staff working with directors and then the residents working with staff? Is there any cuts or changes that could happen in that process? And how do you feel that process should work?
Well, let us start. I think, I hope everybody had a chance to read my answer to my question 1 this week. And I essentially said all the residents, including renters, are really customers of the club board. Directly as a member of the club, as well as through the partnership and management agreement, the service agreement, we also are customers that way too. So I think the club board has the board, the 7-member board, sets a directive and sets a policy on guidelines of how the management works, and through management, the staff actually report to the management. But we also know that we are kind of a small company, even though we say it's 55 million, we're still kind of a smaller company. So we have to interact with each other fairly closely. And what happens is we have to look at what's current, what's new coming on, and help gradually transition staff, maybe through extra training if new technologies come. So they also capable of picking new things up. So I think it's going to be a mixture of a lot of coordination, but I think essentially it's the general manager to start work under him, but the direction is set and under the policy of the 7-member board.
Del, can you speak to I know as a member of the DAC and where you live, you are very much aware of the resident forum from the DAC perspective, as well as ABOD, and then also with CBOD. How would you really look at changing the residents forum under CBOD to affect a positive change, one that the residents would feel good about?
Well, I think first off, I'd like to see the CBOD make the same type of change that the association board did. They took the residents forum, which typically was always at the end of the meeting, and typically they ran out of time. But what ABOD did was they moved it up front to the beginning of the meeting to make sure that people had a chance to give their input. And I'd like to see the club board do the same thing. Secondly, even with the forum, it's embedded within the working of the club board's business. And the club board needs to get their business done. So one of the things I'd like to see us do, and I know the pandemic and COVID-19 has sort of inhibited this, but I'd like to see us hold more town hall meetings, more sessions where the residents can voice their opinion on various matters and not be constrained to the once a month meeting where you have the 20 minutes and 2 minutes per person. I think residents need that time to have more of an interactive voice where they can raise their concern and hear feedback directly. So I think that's important.
Great. I'm looking real quick at questions. We have a question from Uma, and George, it's coming to you. And I'm not 100% sure I understand it. So how would you put the villagers' concerns over the boards? It seems like a pretty intractable problem. Mute, George, unmute, sorry.
What kind of problem?
Intractable.
Okay, that's going to be a challenge because the board needs to listen to the villagers better. Exactly how? That's something I'm going to have to learn because that's going to take some time. You know, I'm going to, Linda and I would be the new kids on the block. So we will have to learn as we go. But that, as I said, that'll definitely be one of my goals.
I'm going to throw this over to Linda too. Linda, if only one of you, George or you, get elected, what kind of an obstacle versus if you both got elected? What do you feel is a plus of that happening?
You know, I think there's members there right now and some are staying and there's 5 of us that's running. In order to get some change and some new blood and new ideas, we both need to be on there as a team so that we can listen, learn, and also people will listen to us. The rest of the members will at least take our feedback, listen to us, and maybe we can get somewhere. If only one of us, you know, we could be outvoted. You know, a 7-0, 7-1 vote is not going to help. So we at least need both of us there to be able to make a difference for everybody. Thank you.
And I'm going to throw a question to both Del and Manji. There's been a lot of conversation over the last 10 months about how much of our budget goes towards salaries at the CBOD level, since all employees are employed by CBOD. And I believe we just got a statement in the mail in the last day or two with that pie chart kind of showing where our costs are breaking down on the actual fees or HOAs, if you will. Del, with your Del and Manji, given your business experience and the size, Manji, you alluded to it with the size of our business here. Do you believe that the $9 million plus in salaries, is there any movement there? Is this a reasonable amount? And if so, within that $9 million, does that cover our total costs for all employees here, or what is still layered on top of that 9 million? So I'm going to go first to Del and second to Manji.
So I think one of the things that, from my perspective, I've seen is that it's very hard to get information out that can help us understand what our situation is. 9 million seems really high. It's hard to determine how that number comes about. How are we actually organized and doing work? Is it efficient? Is it productive? Are we making good use of technology? Do we really need that many people, or do we need more people? To really truly understand the issue and be able to say, wait a minute, we're spending too much or not enough. I think it's important that we need to get more information. And part of that is to be able to ask questions and get that information out such that we can do proper analysis.
Manji, do you want to speak to that same issue? I know you have some good background and you're not unmuted yet.
I agree with the Dal, more information is needed. However, I did request some information for fiscal year 2019. And that was just the basic salary. I had not even included data for benefits and the extras that we have. So that would be an addition that probably is included in the 9 to 10 million right now. What also we have to consider is how much we pay contractors, independent contractors who work for us, maybe in through like our technology, IT. So that may be an extra amount of money we don't have. So those are all, we need to put that together to assess how much is actually paid out just to get the operations running, how much stuff. So that would be an additional that we don't have here.
And Manji, just to follow up, when you say contractors, does that 9 million include like Brightview and the golf course? Is that an additional item too?
That is different. That's called outsourcing. That's a different. I'm talking of if I got an independent contractor, because I know a year ago some of the golf staff were not actually staff members. They were independent contractors working either in the pro shop or on the golf course. So they were paid 1099 basis. Okay, so that is extra staff needed to help out. And I'm sure we have some like that in the IT as well. So that's an additional amount of what I call really staff money going out to do the work for us.
And in addition,
that would be in addition to the 9 million.
And would there also be in addition, Del or Manji, the issue of legal fees? Is that an additional sum of money?
That would be separate. That would count as a legal fees. And legal fees could be varied. It could be legal fees for the board members, legal fees for other work, staff related or other, it could be various, even employee. So there's various levels. I wouldn't count legal fees in this, the wages or anything. That's completely separate.
Okay, we have a question from Israel. And Israel's question is, can we hear from each prospective board member what exactly he or she intends to change or improve in the current situation and how? And I'm going to go to Manji first. So it's over on the chat in case you guys want to take a look at it, and everyone else can see it too. There's no mirrors here. It's just, this is what it is. And if you have other questions, I would appreciate it if you could shoot them onto it. Oh, more are coming. Okay, so again, Manji, can we hear from each board member exactly what he or she intend to change or improve in the current situation?
Okay. The primary reason I'm actually running is I want to be your voice on the board. I want to listen to you, and I'll be on the board so I can relay information back to you. I want to communicate better with you instead of having that 20-minute session on a monthly basis where resident questions are just asked and answered. I would like to be able to be an open person, but people can come to me and ask questions, and I would do it outside my time and kind of tell you what really happens. And I want to be like backwards as well. I want to take your concerns and be on that table to voice your concerns as well. So it works both ways.
Okay, Del?
I think the biggest thing that I would do is to ask a lot of questions of management and staff, so I gain a better understanding of why and how things are the way they are. I would also look to gather more input, find the mechanisms that will allow us to gather more input from our residents, be able to hear what they have to say, ideas that they may have that can improve our current situation. I know for a fact our residents not only have a lot of questions, but they provide very great ideas. At least I've seen it within our DAC. People just come out and say, you know, here's a problem. What if you did this? And it's just a tremendous idea that sometimes you lose these wonderful ideas and you just do what you've always done for the last 30 years and you're kind of stuck in this mode and paying a lot more money than you need to. So I think it's important that we ask questions, but we also gather input.
Great. Linda? Your perspective on exactly what you would like to change or improve from the current situation today.
Okay, as I had said earlier, we definitely do not want to take away any amenities. This is going to be more for us to look at what we can do to help the board move on to make better decisions. Now, you know, we don't have the answers again for all of this, but it is something that, as my mom always said, there's always room for improvement, right? So there is room for improvement in everything that's done in the villages. And that's where, as being part of the board, George and I would look into that, and even Del and Manji, and see what can we do to improve what we have now, because it's not totally working for all of us, and if we can make a difference. And that's going to be a challenge, but something that we are all up to doing, and we'll be able to hopefully make a difference.
Okay, and George, are you unmuted?
No, I am. Man, I'm going to second a lot what Manji said. Communication is my hot button. I feel that villagers can't, if they have anything different that right now the board or the boards want to hear, they're not going to listen to us. So I'm going to try to work out something that the board becomes more accessible to listening to people. How exactly I'm going to do that? Again, it might take some time. I'm going to have to build some credibility and work with the board members. No matter how the election comes out, even if Linda and I both win, we're still going to be in a minority. They're still going to have a majority of the incumbents. So we're going to have to work with them. So it may take some time.
Okay. From William Swintek, he had a kind of a two-part because I didn't understand his question. It said, at a recent board meeting, it came out about outside golf tournaments, indicated that there's no profit being made, and yet we seem to keep all the employees in all the positions. And it seems like we are losing money when it comes to some of the things we're doing. Would any of the four of you like to speak to that? I know it's more of a CBOD question, but I think what we end up feeling, I know for me, when I look at our bill that comes in every month, I don't go, oh, I can be excited about this portion of the club fees and like not look at the ABOD or whatever. I just look at how much it costs me to live here. And I feel like whether you're ABOD or CBOD, the rationalization is that we have to be concerned about overtaxing our employees too much. So the question specifically from William Swintek is, what do you know or what have you heard about the issue of the things we're doing just not creating profit? And I'm going to go to Manji first on that.
I'm a strong believer that the golfing amenity or facility, whatever you want to call it, is a great asset of the villages. And even now, we are doing pretty good with the current residents using a lot of the tea times. I would like to promote outside revenue coming in, because down the road, we are going to need extra revenue coming in to help us at least stabilize or make our increases smaller over the years. So I would like to see more outside tournaments being held here, but I would like to know in detail how profitable they are, because there's no point in having tournaments if they're not going to be profitable. So I think the current plan is they've rented about 30, I think it's 30 golf carts. We are in a position to have some golf tournaments. I think we should let next 6 months tell us how much is happening, and let's take the benefit and assess where we are. I would like to support them in outside tournaments because that's a revenue that we need. And I would be happy to, but it's got to be profitable and we need to analyze it.
Okay, Dell? Oh, mute. Oh, Dell?
So, sorry about that. Yeah, I agree with Manji. I think, you know, the plan is to lease more golf carts, push the tournaments, and I believe they think they will be profitable. And extra revenue, more revenue is always a good thing. So, you know, I think we need to give it a shot, see what happens, and adjust as we go along.
Okay, I think that's more of a ABOD or a CBOD question. So I think I'm just going to let those guys handle that. And what I'm going to throw is a question that I think is more reflective from the perspective of all four of you. This is from Betty Scott, and it says, when Darren Shaw was GM, he and the CBOD president held a monthly resident forum. This was not continued when Tim Sutherland was hired. Would you support that kind of an idea being reinstated? And I'm going to go with George first. Good job on unmuting.
Took me how many times? Okay. I absolutely agree with it. I think that's one way. Town hall meetings, again, we need to communicate better.
Straight and to the point. Linda?
Hi, I also would agree. And I think for us residents, we are customers and we are clients and we are owners. So we should have an input. And instead of it bottling up and going on next door or going anywhere else, if we could have forums where we could sit down and discuss it, it's going to help everybody a lot.
Great. Manji, you have anything to add to that?
Yes, actually, I think it'll be 2 weeks from now. My question number 3 will be in the villagers, and I've just finished that today. One of the things I have proposed is board members and maybe even the GM and the staff directors have their own website or a page and get some questions answered there. And that's easy to search, so it will lessen everybody's time so people can search for questions. I personally would encourage a media channel like that for communications, including open meetings, and stop us having this dilemma that we are having to go next door for discussions.
Okay, Dell.
The whole discussion on Nextdoor has been with us for quite some time. I know way back in 2018, Candidates Night, Mike Filarski and several of the other candidates all spoke about creating something like Nextdoor within our village's portal. And nothing has really been done. And I think we need to continue to look at technology and move every facet of improving communications, whether it's more town hall style meetings, more Nextdoor type applications, whatever it is, we need to increase that input coming from the residents. So I'm in favor of whatever will help move us along those lines.
Thank you. This is from Jill, and she says, as far as financial oversight, the VGCC hides behind its status as a nonprofit C corporation and the fact that it owns the amenities without saying how that ownership was funded. As a result, VGCC is not under Sterling Davis guidelines to protect the best interest of the members. Initially, the villages appears to have been governed by one board. How do you feel about restructuring to a one board governance model guided by Sterling Davis projections for members? And do you see this as a possibility? And I'm going to give that to our Sterling Davis expert, which is Dell. I'm going to let him kind of jump into that hook, line, and sinker.
Okay, well, first I'd like to say I don't believe I'm an expert on this. Okay. I do know that we used to be at, I guess at one point, a single board. I have heard a lot of questions and a lot of push to go back to that single board. I do know there would be a lot of costs involved, but I think it may be a worthwhile endeavor only because you see so much contention between the three boards. You know, a lot of times people forget there's actually a third board, the single family homeowners. So I think, you know, it may be worthwhile really looking into what it would do to us in terms of costs and improved productivity by having one board. And I think we should be open about that process of researching this, because if it doesn't make sense, we need to make sure people understand why it doesn't make sense. And if it does make sense and it comes with a cost, we need to have that explained as well.
Manji, what I'm gonna shift gears for you. This is kind of a little bit of management on the fly, but I'm reading the questions and trying to do a broad spectrum. Manji, recently the boards came together and created what's called the President's Council. Could you explain what that is, and could you further go on to say, is this a plus, or has this created an extra layer in the process?
Thank you. I don't know who kind of asked that question, but it follows right from the question Dal answered. Because right now we are deliberating whether we should have just one board or three boards as we currently have. Just to step back, I had asked one of the top person, CBOD person, who was actually on the incorporating articles about going back to one board, and he said exactly what Dal said, that'd be difficult, but it can be done. What we have now is an extra layer, President's Council. So the president and the vice president of each board, that is the homeowners, the association board, and the club board, the 6 members form what is called the President's Council. And they were formed because of the management disagreement last year we had. And the idea was that they would get together and resolve important issues that collectively affects everybody in the villages. It is a great idea. I like it for discussion, and I'm glad the management agreement was signed. But I also have, there's a red flag at the back of my mind. If we are not if we are not looking ahead, that body could be making the other 13 members on the other boards kind of not having any decision making at all. So be careful where we land up with the President's Council. We already have a complex organization structure. An extra body may just turn out to be an extra level we may not need in future. It's working now, but it may not do so in future.
George, what is your concern about what the 7-0 votes are? And also with that, what is your concern about, what have you witnessed personally about decisions possibly being made before board meetings? Here? Nope.
Now better?
Yep.
Okay, first of all, it's I would say 95% of the time I've seen them on the vote, it's always 7-0. How can 7 people always agree? It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. There's not, different opinions are not welcome. As far as the second question, I haven't seen it personally, but I have heard there used to be meetings after a golf match that would be like at the restaurant or the bistro, going over certain thoughts and ideas. And that is not a way to run a board.
Linda, can you speak a little to your concerns about safety for our actual villages and the villas that we live in?
Yes, safety is definitely a big issue for all of us, whether it's the coyotes, it's the fires, it's earthquakes, and we have to be prepared for all of that as anybody would. I think the earthquakes, we have the committee that's doing a great job on that. Hopefully we'll get back to that as we had the earth shatter a few times a couple days ago. And the fire, it was terrible last time and everybody panicked, and we definitely cannot have panic with all of us living here, or it's going to be more chaos and more disaster. We definitely need to find ways to make everybody, we need to have the committee that will make everything run smoothly, and then we need to be able to get it out to all of the villagers so that we know how it's going to work. The coyotes I'm concerned about because of our average age here is like 78, right? And most of us have dogs and we do walking. So we want to make sure that everybody's protected, whether they have a dog, there's an earthquake, there's a fire. So it's committees and different things that we're going to have to do to really look into to see what we can do and to be able to reach everybody. Not everybody has internet, has Zoom, has emails, and we have to find ways for the villages to communicate with everyone so that we're all prepared if that time should come. Thank you.
Yeah, and I've had several people message me on my phone as well as the chat saying, where are the other candidates, Mickey, Frank, and Ed. I believe they're all on today, but we believe that it was more important that you get time to get to know these four first. And so we are going to come right back at you in case you missed that in an email with the exact same login at Thursday at 4 o'clock. And that is a full hour devoted to Mickey, Frank, and Ed. And so we are not ignoring them. It's probably helping them to sit on the conversation tonight. They are here, all of them, and we invite you to return at that time. The next question I'd like to ask is really centered on the CBOD, and this is to Del and Manji. What steps can we take to make the restaurant and meeting banquet rooms create a positive cash flow? I tried to reserve a room for a catered event for 100 and called several times only to never get a call back. There is no urgency because the employees get the same pay if they make money or not. And that's from Stephen Weekly. Manji first.
I sympathize with you, Steve. I think, I don't know why they couldn't accommodate you, because to me, that's what we need, more of outside special type of catering. Just to share a story, in 2013, I went through something very similar. We were prepared to pay for 4 hours, $1,000, and we were told that we couldn't do it because the board wouldn't like it. So this was happened to me personally in 2013. I want to encourage a lot of outside catering at the right price, because the thing is, we have to make sure that the staff allocated to the bistro side doesn't kind of clash with the catering side as well. So there's a balance, but we need to plan the things out. And I think we need better planning for catering events, banquets, outside events, and bistro operations, which is the most profitable one. Leave that alone. We may need to look at how, I just haven't been inside the kitchen, but that's in source, like it cannot accommodate everybody. So we may need to think of what happens and how we can handle that flow of different events at the same time.
Okay, Val, so we're really Del, I'm sorry. We're really addressing the concerns of the restaurant at this time. Can you speak to that, please?
Let me answer this a little bit differently. The question was basically that someone calling in was ignored, totally ignored. And basically a lost sale, we lost a sale. We lost an opportunity to make money. I did 2 startups. And one of those startups was based on developing a software for incentives, sales commissions, and general incentives. Most of you who have worked In the private sector, you were given bonuses if you met certain goals and you performed certain things. And one of the things I feel is missing here is or at least there's the appearance that our staff doesn't have the right incentive in terms of customer service when dealing with resident questions or potential sale opportunities. We need to incentivize our employees. And what that will actually do is it'll drive them towards a certain behavior. And that is one of the things that I think is missing here. I'm not sure if we have any incentives at all. It doesn't appear that we do, but if we do, it may very well be the wrong ones. We need to motivate our employees and our staff to be responsive to the residents, to be responsive towards getting more sales in the catering business and marketing much better. So.
Okay, at this time, we actually, I think we have time for one more ABOD question, and then we're going to be summing it up. If you don't have those ballots out, this would be a really good time to start marking your ballots. Again, we will be back at you again on Thursday with our last 3 candidates running for the CBOD. George and Linda, given that the costs in ABOD are driven and varied by district, therefore reductions will by and large be out of the CBOD assessment, currently $350 per month. How do you foresee lowering that? Not 100% sure the full gamut of that question, because it says, given that costs in ABOD are driven and varied by each district or village, the reductions will by and large be out of CBOD assessment, currently at $350 a month. So they are projecting that the greatest reductions can only be through CBOD. George, do you want to speak of other areas and what happened with reserves just recently?
Okay, I can think of 2 areas where ABOD can be involved. One is reserves. The last ABOD meeting, they said the reserves are now at $63 million. They said that's okay because it was over $200 million. I'd like to know where they got the 200 million. And then they say the 63 million, it's just a number. It'll be worked on and it'll get better. If it's wrong, why not fix it now? The other situation where we can look at ABOD for money is cost of projects. It's very common for projects to be quoted at a certain price. And then when it's all done, it's almost doubled what the projection was. That needs to be controlled.
Okay, Linda?
I agree with George on all of that. And one of the main things is, as far as us getting contracts, getting estimates, and then signing a contract, and then it's not enough money. Painting of the villas is one of them that is always going over that amount. I think once we sign a contract and the contractor has committed to it, he needs to do the job for that amount. And that's one. I'm in property management. Our company right now manages over 300 doors, and it's important that you negotiate and you get the right thing, you get it signed, and they have to follow it. That's what they've signed for. And if they can't do it for that amount, then we don't choose them because it's not worth it. It's the money's coming out of our pockets, and we need to make people accountable no matter where it is or what they're doing. And a lot of times the contractors get us on that. So we've got to work on that. Thank you.
Again, these questions that have been captured, as well as this recording, you'll notice in the top left corner there is a recording button on, and Liz Kung is our expert at this, and she will be putting this on our website so that people that might have missed this afternoon would have a chance to see it. So thank you in advance, Liz, for all your hard work. Okay, I would like to start with Manji and just have her give some last minute thoughts to each of you this afternoon.
Just to share a little story, I came here 9.5 years ago. I bought my place in one day, And I didn't even look at the amenities because that wasn't my priority then. I just wanted to be near family members. However, since over the 9 years, I have come to love the amenities. I love the golf, I love the tennis ball. I'm hoping to get back into pickleball, and I cannot envisage this place without the amenities. But we're gonna have to pay for those. And I would like to help you keep your home style as well as the amenities. So a vote for me will allow your voice to be heard on that vote. So I'm asking you to vote for me. Thank you. And if you have any questions, since I'm not in the directory, I'll put my phone number and my email there. So please send me questions or call me. Thank you.
Great. Del.
So first of all, I'd like to thank everyone who joined us for their time. And I think it's extremely important that everyone go out and vote, especially if you look at your tan ballot, the beige ballot, which is for the club board. The very first person on that ballot is yours truly. So feel free to mark that. The thing that I can tell you is just what I've said here. I believe that residents need more input. I think we need to leverage everyone's skills and get their ideas. And I think we need to do a better job at managing the overall costs and especially the communications that go back and forth. So thank you for your time and vote for Dell.
Thank you. Linda.
Okay, it's coming to an end and I just learned how to unmute myself in a timely manner. Thank you everybody for joining us and listening to us and understanding who we are and what we would like to do to make a difference. As we've said, all of us in this, it's not going to happen overnight and it's not going to happen quickly, but we vow to do the best we can to be able to listen to everyone and to make great decisions and figure out what we can do better and help our team players that we join do better. We're all here, we're positive people, we're good thinkers, we think on our own, and we're team players, so we can work with everybody, but we need your votes and to be able to get into there and have our voices and your voices heard as well. As Dale said, he's the first on the ballot. Well, I'm the last on the ballot, but as my mom says, the last is always the best, so please vote for me. Thank you.
Great. And we're going to finalize this with George Paris.
I'll make this short and sweet. I'm a fast learner, and I really do care. As I stated on my brochure, the Villages does not need major changes, just a push in the right direction. Vote for Linda and myself, knowing that you will get new faces, new ideas, and new energy. Thank you very much for being on this call.
Folks, I can't thank you enough. Our numbers are wonderful. I embrace that what I believe Val and this crew came together to do was to give an opportunity for voices to be heard. You were all able to see the chats. I tried diligently to get all those questions in. We are not going against the norm. We believe that all sides need to be heard. And we would encourage you to speak to your friends. If you like what you heard today, these ballots are going to affect the change here in the Villages, change that we can all embrace, that we can look at individuals and realize that we don't want to hear stories of people having to move or second mortgage their home in order to stay in their forever homes. That's why George and I got involved. I know that's why most of you on the screen are involved. I'm going to leave you with a parting thought that that my high school leadership kids ended up adopting as their slogan. My mother's name was Gladys, and she said something very simple in her life that has resonated, I think, throughout George's and my marriage, that is, always leave something better than how you found it. And so today is about leaving the Villages something better, and better comes through diversity. So we would encourage all of you to cast those votes, not for 7 of the same, but to allow every individual the opportunity to be heard. And the most effective way Villagers for Change believes in being heard is to allow a wide range of thoughts to be on a board and not make it be just one solid viewpoint. You will all be heard if you support these candidates today. And we so look forward to your meeting with us again on Thursday to hear our last three candidates, Mickey Philhauer, Frank Houghton, and Ed Ing. And again, just a wonderful thank you for being a part of today. We're right at an hour. We tried to honor the commitment. Liz?
Helen, can you answer Uma's last question?
Many important questions have been raised because the candidates respond to them offline. Yes, the candidates will be looking at these questions and they will send emails out to you. Okay, so thank you all for attending. The sun is out. It's a beautiful day in the Villages. Cheers, and let us embrace this new beginning together. Thank you all. Good evening.
Bye-bye.